Alright, so I repeat it again. We are talking about a merged application. The merged application is different from snapshot and transactional. In snapshot and transactional application, the data always flows from publisher to the subscriber. But in merged application, data flows in either ways. Either it is from publisher to subscriber or subscriber to publisher. If a user updates data at subscriber, that gets replicated back to the publisher. That's what happens in merge replication. So merge replication is a bidirectional replication. So this is a basic architecture how the merge replications looks like. I have got a publisher here and there's a custom application that is accessing my publisher. There's a main database, and among this publisher database I have got few tables that are participating in replication, so I call them as articles. And I have on right hand side I have got a subscriber which is an end server which gonna get all the changes from the publisher. And as this is a merge replication, so what are the application trying to do the changes on the server, those changes will be replicated back to the publisher. So at any point of time, both the database will be identical in perspective of the tables that were added to the replication. And we do have a distributed database, and this distributed database will only contain the history information. In merged application, the distributed database only contains the history information, whereas in transaction replication, the distributed database will first get the data from the publisher, and from there, distributor will push the data to the subscriber. But in merged application, distributed database will only contain the history information, like when the data was replicated from publisher to the subscriber, and when was the data replicated from subscriber to publisher. That was the information available in distribution database. And in distribution database, as we have seen different agents in different type of replication, like in snapshot we have seen a snapshot agent. In transactional replication, we have seen a snapshot agent, distribution agent, log data agent, and queue data agent. And whereas coming to the merge replication, we will have a snapshot agent and distribution agent. These will be common for all the types of replication, but we do have one more type of agent which is called a merge agent. So this merge agent is responsible to pull the changes from your publisher and apply those on subscriber, and the same thing, it will keep on track the changes on subscriber, and that will be pushed back to the publisher. But we need to understand one logic here. If you go back to the transaction replication, the log reader agent will read the database log file of the publisher, and the changes, it find the changes based upon the flags. If there were any changes happen to the replicated tables, those changes were marked with a flag in the database log file, and the log reader agent will only read those records that were flagged, and the records will be replicated onto the other side. That was the technique behind the transaction replication. But coming to the merge replication, what happens is if you add a one table into merge replication, then system will create 3 triggers at backend. If you add one table to a merge replication in a database, your SQL Server will automatically create 3 triggers. So let me make a note of that. It is something I'm explaining in depth about the replication side. It's a merge replication. So the first point is it's bidirectional replication. So the data will get transferred on either sides. The agents involved in this replication is snapshot agent, distribution agent, and merge agent. So let's say I have a database with 10 tables and I would like to add one table with merge replication. So as soon as I add that one table to the merge replication, SQL will create 3 triggers for that single table. And those 3 triggers are, one is insert trigger and the other is update trigger and the third one is delete trigger. So these 3 triggers, trigger is nothing but an event. When an event occurs, a trigger will be fired. So when I add a table to a replication, SQL will create 3 triggers, and those 3 triggers are insert, update, and delete. What they does is when I add a row, when I insert a row in that replicated table, the insert trigger will fire. Okay. So what insert trigger does is whenever a new record inserted in the table, this trigger will fire and this trigger will keep an entry in MS merge contents table. It should be MS merge underscore contents table. This is also a system table. And the same thing, if I issue any update, if I'm trying to update any existing record in the table, the update trigger will fire and it will note down the record information, what row I'm trying to update in the table. So it takes a GUID, we call it as a row GUID, that will be automatically added to a table which you are including in the replication. That's a merged replication. So when you issue a update command, this update trigger will get fired and it will take a note of that updated information and it keeps in the same table called MS merge contents. It's a system table. It makes an reference in this table. It keeps a reference of that record in this table. And same for if you issue a delete command. If you're trying to delete couple of rows from the table, the delete trigger will fire and it keeps the reference records information in MS merge tombstone table. Okay. So actually these two tables, MS merge contents and MS merge tombstone, these two tables we call it as a change tracking. We call them as a change tracking tables because whenever a change happens in your table, there are only 3 possible changes, right? Either insert, update, delete. So for all these 3 possible changes, we have triggers, and whenever these changes happens on a table, the following triggers will be fired and a reference record information will be stored in these 2 tables. Now once the references are available in MS merge contains and MS merge tombstone table, the merge agent is nothing but a SQL job. When that merge agent, a SQL job, runs, it goes and read the data from these 2 tables to see if there are any new information available. So if the new information available in MS merge contents table and MS merge tombstone table, then it takes the reference number from these tables and go back to your main table which you are added to the replication. It just take the reference from this table and it goes back to your main table and fetch the data from there and push it to the subscriber. So this is what happens at backend. It's an in-depth that occurs every time when a changes happens in your table in merge replication. And it is very important to remember these two tables. So if you were asked in any interview about merge replication, and if you can explain them the procedure which I said now about the triggers and about these change tracking tables, that would be more than enough to impress the interviewer. So the same type of triggers will be created on subscriber side as well, because this is a bi-directional, right? So if any user inserts, update, deletes records on the table on subscriber side, the same triggers will be filed and the information will be stored in the ms merge contains and ms merge tombstone table, the change tracking tables, and the merge agent does read both sides. The merge agent will read the information on the publisher, and if it finds any information in these change tracking tables, it will push the data onto the other side, and at the same time it gonna check the change tracking tables on the subscriber, and if it finds any references, the new references there, it's gonna pull out the data from the metadata table, and that data will be pushed back to the publisher. Here the distributor, what the role of the distributor is to just record the information like what data being transferred from publisher to subscriber and when it has happened, and the same from subscriber to the publisher. So this is what the entire architecture of the merge replication. So any questions? I do have one more PowerPoint for this one. So the merge process, what it does is the same thing. It does takes the information from publishing database and apply on subscribing database, and if it finds any updates or any new information on the subscribing database, that will be pushed back to the publishing database. And you can see at bottom it says default or custom resolver. So as this methodology is something like the data will be in bidirectional. So let me give an example. I have one database sitting in US and the other database is sitting in Europe, and I have configured a merge replication. So when I configure a merge replication, so what happens? If a user updates the table, the data will be pushed to the subscriber that is on Europe server. And the same thing, if a user sitting in Europe updates a table, that record comes back to US server. So now my question is, a user in US is updating a employee record, probably the employee ID is equal to 110. So the HR sitting in US is trying to update an employee record whose ID is 110, probably at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And at the same time, unknowingly, a person, the HR in Europe, is trying to update the same employee ID 110 and at the same time. So what happens is here, two users at two different sites are updating the same record. So that time, the merge agent, the merge process which is in between these two will get confused. It is because the same data is being updated at two different places by two different persons. So the merge process will get confused and it will treat it as conflict. The merge process will treat it as a conflict because it is in confusion that which record do I need to take publisher record and apply it onto subscriber, or do I need to take subscriber record and apply it on publisher. So this usually happens in merged replications as it is a bidirectional, and we call it them as a conflicts. So to overcome this, while configuring the merged replication, we will be provided with an option. We will be provided with an option saying that in case of conflicts happens in future, to whom you want to make win. Do you want to make win your publishing database, or do you want to make win your subscribing database? That means whatever the records that are coming from publisher side, you want to make it as a win so that the changes from publisher will apply onto subscriber. Or if you think that no, my subscriber changes, even though there are conflicts happens, the user who is sitting in Europe, that record has to apply onto publisher. So you can set those properties while configuring the merge application. And that was one of the best thing that SQL itself resolves those conflicts upon your setting. If you give a figure like, okay, 70% winning chances for my publisher, that means whenever a conflict happens, all the time it try to get your publisher database updates, and it will be pushed onto your subscriber database. So any questions about the architecture before we proceed with the demo? Alright, so let us try to go ahead and set up the merger application. Okay, let me pick one of the database here. Probably I will take it as a CRM differential 3. This is as my publisher. And again, having said that, I have already configured the distributor on this instance, so that distributor I can use it for n number of replication setups on this instance. I don't need to reconfigure the distributor again. And the prerequisites for a merged application is, I don't say a specific recovery model is required. The database in any recovery model can work. The only prerequisite we have is a row GUID column is required. A row GUID column is nothing but a alphanumeric number. If you already have that column data type on your table, your merged application will use that column. If you don't have, your SQL will create a new column with that property. And what is the use of that column? Why SQL required that column to be created on a tables? It is because as this is a bidirectional replication, SQL should have a mechanism to identify which row is coming from which server. That is, it should identify and make a decision that, okay, this row is coming from publisher or this row is coming from subscriber. So to make a distinguish, the row GUID column is required. There's a question from Danish. How are we going to decide in conflict? Basically, we always think publisher is our original database. So majority of the times I have seen people selecting publisher server as winner. So while we configure the mirroring, I will show just in a moment. While we configure the mirroring, at one wizard we provide this publisher with majority of the percentage. It's like if we provide a 60 or 70% with publisher, so in case of conflicts happens all the time, your publisher will win. But still, if you think in any specific case, even though you defaultly cite your publisher as a winner, but in any very specific case you want to make your subscriber as winner, still it is possible. You can do that even after configuring the merged replication. So this is, I'm treating this database as my publisher. Okay, so the first thing I need to go back to my subscriber and create a database. Okay, let me create a new database. I'm calling it as CRM differential 3. And now go back to your publisher server replication, right click on local publications and select new publication, and then go to next. Select the database for which you want to add to the publication. Okay, before that we need to create, let me see if this database has got any tables. Okay, this has got a table. Okay, you can see this database has got a table with 10 records, and there are only 2 columns now, ID and name. Having said that, merged application requires a row GUID column, so I don't have a row GUID column now. I just had a column ID with integer data type and a name column with varchar data type. I don't have any columns with row GUID data type. So in this case, SQL will create a new column to this table. So once we configure the publication, we'll come back and notice the new column here. So I select the merge replication and go on to next, and you can see the subscriber types. It says SQL Server 2000 or later 2005. That means you can set up replication, the merged replication, bidirectional with different versions, but there will be a complexity. So it is always advised to have a similar versions to avoid any further issues on that. So you can go on to next, and here I have to browse the tables. So as of now I have got only 2 columns on this. Select the table and proceed with next, and this is what I was explaining you. Issues: unique identifier columns will be added to tables. So the row GUID property, if you can just take a time and read at the below, all merge articles must contain a unique identifier column with a unique index and row GUID column property. SQL Server adds a unique identifier column to published tables that do not have one when the snapshot is generated. So if you don't have that column, don't worry. The SQL itself will add the column. If you already had a column data type on the table, SQL will use that data type column. It won't create a new one. So you can go on to next, and this is to filter the rows, and go on to next and provide the security configuration for the snapshot agent. Snapshot agent does require in all type of replications in order to take an initial snapshot and apply onto the subscriber. So you can go on to next, the agent security here. So I give it as run under SQL Server agent service account, and go on to next, and this will create a publication. So I name it as CRM merge underscore pub. Okay, we have created a publication. Now we will add subscriber to this publication. So you can see here the icons were different for each type of replication. For the first replication, it's a snapshot, the icon is different, and for for transaction replication, you can see there's a one side arrow, and the merge replication, you can see there's a two sides arrows in opposite direction. That's a merge replication. It's a bidirectional. So we add subscriptions to this publication. You can go on to next. Select the database, the publication for which you want to add a subscription, and you can go on to next. And again, either you want to go for push subscription or pull subscription. So to make it easy, I would choose a push subscription so that the merge agents will be created on my distributor server. That is nothing but my publisher server. Add the subscriber. And go on to next. Provide the agent security for the merge replication. Go on to next. And how frequently you want to synchronize the data. If there are any changes happening on your publisher or on subscriber, how frequently you want to replicate them on the other side. So if you want to replicate them once in a while or maybe on a schedule, you can do that. But basically the main purpose to have a replication is to update the data continuously. If there are any changes occurred on your publisher, that change should be immediately replicated onto the other side with a max of 60 seconds delay. So I take it as run continuously. So my distribution agent will run continuously, and if there were any changes happen, that will be pushed onto the other side. And this is an initialized subscription. So the snapshot being already taken here. Let me show you the snapshot. Ripple data. So this is the snapshot for the merge replication. So when you want to initialize, do you want to initialize immediately or at first synchronization? First synchronization is nothing but when the merge agent runs for the first time. So I want to reinitialize immediately once I finish with this wizard. So I'm selecting immediately here and I go on to next. And this is where I was talking about the conflicts. So it says that the subscriber, this is a subscriber server, and at bottom here, sorry, the subscription type. If it is a server, then that means publisher. If I change it to client, that means it's a subscriber. So for server, by default, the priority for conflict resolution is 75%. That means majority of the times your publisher server wins in case of conflicts. If you want to make your subscriber server always winner in case of conflicts, then you just need to change it to client. That's all. So you can go on to next and then finish. Okay, it's a very easy to configure the replications. So we have just finished the configuration of merge replication. So we have got a publisher and subscriber. In order to check the status, you just need to right click here and you can go for launch replication monitor. The same thing which we have done for the snapshot or the transaction replication. So this is my merge and it says synchronizing. So it keeps on synchronizing the data on both the sides. You can see waiting 60 seconds before pulling further changes. So what I said is it's a maximum of delay 60 seconds. So the merge agent goes and check the change tracking tables, and if it finds any changes, that will be applied on the partner side, and it waits for 60 seconds for next hit. So what we do is we go and check the database on the other side. You can see the table has been created, and do a select, and you can see the 10 rows were added, and apart from these two columns, you can see a new row, new column is also added. The same thing will be on your publisher. So you can re-execute this. What's happening? Let me yeah, let me refresh it again. Yes, this is what the new column will be added on both the sides. This is a row GUID ID. Based upon this, the distribution database will make a history of the data. So you can see the data is available on both the sides. So this is my publisher here. So to make it clear, I just make a note. This is my publisher instance, and this is my subscriber. Okay, so now what I do is initially I go back here and I insert a record from I'm doing from publisher. I'm just going to insert ID and name. Okay, I give it as 300 and I name it as a publisher so that it would be easy for us to understand from where the row been inserted. Okay, so it should be under database CRM differential 3. Okay, a new row was inserted here, so then you can do a select star from students, and 11th row was added, and it automatically picked up the row GUID column. So you can go back and check on your, this is a subscriber server, you can say SQL 22 instance, change the database to CRM differential 3 and execute. It's still not yet replicated. It's because it waits for 60 seconds and it pulls the data from your publisher. So you can see the change has been replicated here, the row 300, and this is from publisher. And same thing, now what I do is I try to insert one record from subscriber. So before I do that, let us go and check the replication monitor. Let me refresh it. Yeah, it's auto refresh. Okay, if you scroll bit down here, you can see there was one change happens, articles, and it was one insert is happened, and again at here you can see download and upload. Download is something the data is coming from publisher to the subscriber. Okay, that's we call as a download, and the data coming from subscriber back to the publisher we call it as a uploading. So there was a one downloaded happened, so we inserted record and publisher. So replication, the merge replication pushed that record onto a subscriber and it treated it as a download. Now what we do is we try to upload. That means we add a record in our subscriber. So I change it as a subscriber. Okay, so I'm inserting a record in my subscriber. So you can quickly check the changes. can see there was 12 rows, a new row will be added with a subscriber, and you go back to your publisher and check the data. It's still not yet replicated. In the meantime, we'll go and check the replication monitor here. It's waiting 60 seconds before it pulls for the changes. So even we can notice here, it quickly gives information like it's pulling data from that students table. But I don't think we can capture it because it's a one row. So it's auto refresh, it's gone. Right. You can see one row was, the first was downloaded. So this is what the now occurred. It's uploaded, the changes. One new row was inserted, and you can see one row it says uploaded. So this way you can easily identify what all the changes are happening on this SQL table. Yes. Navnita, can you please be mute? So this way you can always replicate the data on either sides. And regarding the conflicts, how to check the conflicts? So in order to check the conflicts, you can right click on the publication and you can see view conflicts. You can just click on it. If there are any conflicts, it will give you. If you can see here there are no conflicts to view. At the moment there are no conflicts, so it's giving that information. But let us try to create a conflict. Possibly I'm not sure if I can create it, because the main challenging is I need to execute the queries on same time. So what I do is I come back to publisher here and try to delete a record from students where ID equal to okay, we got a new record here. Yes, I'm trying to delete students from students table where ID equal to 300. Okay, this is a query I'm going to execute, and let me write the query. Let me make a query here. I'm trying to update same record. Update students set name equal to new publisher where ID equal to 300. So from publisher side, I'm trying to delete a record with ID 300, and at the same time I'm trying to execute an update statement for the same 300 ID record. So in order to make it to execute at similar time, probably I need to use some custom script. Wait for a delay. Probably I estimate to switch the windows, it might take around 5 seconds for me. Okay, roughly. So once I execute this and go onto the subscriber query, I assume it might take me at least a 5 seconds, so I have included 5 seconds. So what it does is it waits 5 seconds and then execute this query. Okay, so I go back and execute this one. Okay, I'm not sure if both the queries were executed at the same time, but let us see if a conflict happened or not. This emerge, view conflicts. Yes, we are success of doing the conflicts. You can see it says a conflict has happened on a table students and number of conflicts were 1. So in order to check what exactly what records were conflicted, you can click on OK. It will give you a window with a brief description like what conflicts were happened. You can see here it says conflict loser. Automatically SQL resolve the conflict, but this is just giving you an information, but internally SQL resolve that conflict. On what basis? It is based upon the configuration which we have provided, the 75% of winning chances to the publisher while configuring the merged application. So based upon those settings, at internally it made win about the publisher, but it still gives us an option that probably as per your settings the publisher wins here, but in this special case you don't want to delete that record but you want to update it. That means the user from subscriber, he's doing right. So in that case you can still make your subscriber as winner by just clicking here submit loser. If you click on submit loser, then your subscriber will win. That means the data will be updated on the either sides. You can also check the information here at bottom. You can see the row was updated at one location and deleted at another location. The deletion won and the update lost. So this is what the default behavior of the replication. If you go back and check the data now, you will see the 300 row is missing here. It's because your publisher got to win. And the same thing you can check on your subscriber, and you can see the row 300 got missing. It's because even though the conflict happened, your SQL Server made your publisher as winner. So my publisher is trying to delete a record, so that's what's happened. But probably in this case you were what do you say, where is the conflict window? Okay, but especially if you think that you don't want to delete that record, you want to update that record, that means whatever the user executed on subscriber side, that is right. So in that case you can just click on submit loser, click OK, and the conflicts were removed, and you can go back and check the data now. And you can see the row got back, and this is where the update information, whatever we have updated, that got pushed on the either sides. So it will come here soon. So this is what in general happens. It doesn't mean that whatever the settings you do while configuration, you have to stick with that. So you can always go and you have to regularly go and clear all those conflicts. So you can go back and check the record information, what's being happening at back end of this database. So you can see here, even we have executed deletes, so it picked up the deletes, and we have done updates as well, right? So let's wait for a few seconds to see if it shows, and it also shows the conflicts. Yeah, this is what the number of conflicts were happened on this database table. Yeah, the record does available on your subscriber as well. So this is all about the merged application, and if you want to look at the agents, you can scroll, you can just go and check here. Let me refresh. This is my merged application snapshot agent, and This is merge agent. So any questions on the replication side? Even in real time, we do the same settings, like whatever we have done, we follow the same type of things in real time as well. Don't think that in real time you have to do in a different way. Probably the only thing is you have to select multiple tables over there in real time. So we are done with the replication side, and the next are clustering and always on. Probably having said that, I will just take you through about the theoretical part, how the clustering and how the always on works. Okay, and then after we'll be having one more class, and that would be the last class, and we'll be discussing about the performance tuning, how we need to fine tune our servers, databases, and queries, and what are the different things we need to look at in case of performance issues. How often conflicts happen in real time? We can't distinguish it. It usually depends upon how the process being set up. In some cases, like if application team is sitting on both sides and responsible of taking over the data, at that time the probability is more. And if the application is very regional to any single area, like my application is only used by the US employees or US people, then probably no one will be there in Europe to update the data, right? So in that case, I don't see any conflicts. It ultimately depends upon the application configuration and functionality. So I would like to hold on this one. The clustering and always on will seem a bit similar, but the always on is something, a new feature started from 2012. It's an high availability. So probably what I do is I don't want to bring this clustering into in today's class and finish it quickly, because these as I'm not taking you through the demo, I want to spend much more time explaining about the theoretical part of this clustering and always on. So if you don't have any questions, and if you're happy with this, you can drop the call. And I need to stick with Venkat has got some issues with mirroring or lock shipping, so I'll be looking at. If you're still okay, you can be online, and if you think you can leave, that's all right. You can leave. Venkat, I'm making you as. Yeah, sure, Money. I will do that. Unfortunately, I forgot about uploading a mirroring part 2, so I have just did that. So yeah, I will make sure that I will upload the classes as soon as we we have it. So Venkat, I'm making you as a presenter. You can share your screen. And for rest of people, if you want to leave, you can. Venkat have made you as a presenter. Can you please share your screen? All right, I can see it now. Okay, can you take me through the error? Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Venkat, can you show me the service accounts for these two instances on what service account the services are running? Now you need to open the SQL configuration manager. Venkat, you can unmute.
Search button is not working. A minute.
Okay, can you give me control? The mouse and keypad control.
Yeah, how to give?
Probably you can do it on GoToMeeting console. Let me place a request for you before that. Yeah, I've just placed a request to you.
Oh,
The screen share went away.
this one?
Did you receive any pop-up?
No.
Okay, I don't see anything. It's a black screen. Can you share it again?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, all right. In search button, it's not allowing you to type anything over there.
Yes. Not allowing.
Okay, can you go on to your desktop, Windows D? Just enter Windows D on your keyboard. Okay, all right. You can click on Start. Mm, Search. Okay, try to click on Search and see.
Nah.
Nothing is coming out. Okay, click on
Yeah.
Start again. Okay, programs and features is that thing. Okay, click on that. Give me a second, please.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry guys, I got a call. Oh, this is not the place we need to look at. So, Venkat, how do you browse if you install any software and if you want to open it? How do you browse it?
Uh,
What operating system is this?
Windows 10.
Windows 10. I'm using Windows 10, but I don't have this problem. Once I click on my Windows, it gives me in a different way. The view is different from you and me. Can you right click on the start button there? See if you find.
Yeah,
Can you try to
this
right
is the
click?
right click. Yeah, this is the right click.
Okay, what if you do a left click?
It's not allowing me to do now. Normal, usually it will allow, but today, now it is not allowing. Even search button also it will allow, usually.
Okay, maybe something you have disabled. Can you try to just click on a Windows button on your keyboard?
Not, it is not allowing.
Oh, something got messed
Yeah,
up.
now.
Hmm. So we need to check the configuration manager. All right.
Yeah, I checked the configuration manager also
Oh,
today
can you tell me the
morning.
service accounts? Under what service account
Uh,
the services were running?
uh, Everything except server SQL browser,
Hmm.
everything is on dot backslash Venkat.
Okay, both the
All other.
instances, right? Both the instances
Yeah, all other.
services.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Okay, let me give a DM underscore server services. Okay, all right. I will just tell you one query. You
Yeah.
need to go back to your SQL Management Studio.
Okay.
Okay, open a
On
new query. Open a new query. Yeah,
on principal server.
right. On a principal server, open a new query and type query.
Yeah.
Okay, write a query. Did it open? The new query open there?
Mm, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
opening. Okay, write a query there. Select star from.
it's not allowing. Okay.
No, it should be allowing, but it's taking on left hand side. What you do is on Object Explorer left side.
Uh-huh.
Okay, do you see drop down?
Yeah.
Just right side. Yeah, drop down. Okay,
Uh,
uh, click on it
okay.
and say dock.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Select star
Okay.
from sys dot
Yep.
sys dot dm underscore
Yep.
dm underscore server
Server.
server underscore services.
Executive.
Yes, execute it.
Okay.
Okay, you have service account there slash Venkat. All
Yeah.
right. Can you run the same query on your subscriber instance? I mean to say on secondary, the mirror server. Okay. Now the next thing is, do you have a SQL logins with this name on both the sites?
Mm,
Can you quickly check on your principal server, expand securities, and go to logins?
not
Okay, you
following
don't.
that.
Yeah, that's the problem. You need to create a login there with the same name. Right click
Okay.
on new logins, right click and select new login. Okay,
SQL.
click. No, it's not SQL. It should be a Windows. You have created a user account on your machine, right? So
Oh,
click
yeah.
on search. Click on search. Okay, type Venkat there. Okay, click on check names.
Yep.
All right. Click OK. And go on to server roles on left hand side and provide sysadmin permissions. Click OK. And do the same thing for mirror instance as well. If you remember, the same thing has happened when I was showing the demo.
Yeah, I tried. That's why today I asked that one, the demo,
Okay.
that recording. Yeah, after that I realized.
Server roles and select sysadmin. Okay. Okay. Now, do you still have that window open, the mirroring window, or did you close it?
No, I tried it.
Okay. All right. You need to repeat the steps again.
Yeah, I
It's
did.
working, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
login should be there, right?
Yes. Yes. That should be required, right, to have authentication on both the sides.
Okay. Yeah, no, I got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
About log shipping, tomorrow I will ask. I will.
Okay. All right.
I,
You haven't tried it, right? Hit.
yeah, for,
Okay.
I stuck up with this mirroring and again.
Okay. All right. So possibly you can try today, and if you can get back
Yeah, sure.
to me with any issues, we can look at it into tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Venkat. Have a good day.
Thank you too. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.